My husband is busy with his skills assessment for a fitter and turner. We're looking for companies that offer sponsorship. Could you help? I'm a salesperson with a diploma in marketing. I've been working in sales for the past 4 years in the recruitment industry. There's lots of questions in there.
Yeah.
I'll leave you to that one.
Thanks. Sponsorship, it's an interesting thing at the moment, because let's go back a year or 2 years ago when things were, a bit more normal. Sponsorship was massive. Businesses, as long as they're on the skills list, they could be sponsored to come over to here. Obviously, no one's allowed to come in the country at the moment, and so that's going to put a stop to a lot of things happening unless it's really a key skill. But what's going to happen in the future is, only recently, I think in the last 2 months, the UK have struck a new deal with Australia that is going to allow, it used to be under 30, but now it's under 35-year-olds to come over for 3 years on a tourist visa. Well, it used to be 1 year, and then you'd have to go and work on a farm for 6 months and then do another year. So there's already talks with the UK and other countries as well, that they're going to allow people to come over more and more. And I feel, because there's such a shortage with lots of skills and unskilled workers within Australia, that I feel like in the next year, when we start to open the country up, that they're going to relax a lot of those things, because so many people have left this country to go back because they can't afford to live here or whatever, that we're going to need those people to come in. So that's just to give you a little bit of hope to people who are on the skills list, etc. If you're looking for a business to sponsor you, there's nowhere we can go and say, okay, well, show me the companies that are able to do that. But what I would be doing is looking at the companies that you could work for in the UK, and then finding similar companies on LinkedIn again in Melbourne, and then approaching those guys directly, because they're not going to know about you at all. And by you approaching them, yes, they need to sponsor you, but if they need that skill and it's on the skills list, then they will they'll take you down that route. Lots of companies do it, and there are certain conditions to it along the line, so you've got to be really careful when you do that, because some of the sponsorships you can get will say that you are tied to that business and you can't work anywhere else. So if you work for that business and you don't like it, it's tough luck. You can't go and leave and then go and work for a pharmacy, or you can't just go and do your own work or start your own company. Exactly. You only can work for that company. So I think the best tip is really just doing a bit of research within the state that you're going to live in, finding the companies the manufacturing companies or wherever it is who you would want to go and work for, and then reach out to them directly via LinkedIn. And there's plenty of videos on YouTube that are free that will show you how to set up LinkedIn to be able to do it. And that is your virtual knock on the door to say, hey, these are my skills. And if you are on the skills shortage list, then I would imagine if you knocked on 50 doors, you'd probably get 2 or 3 people who go, yes, we're interested, because that's in such short supply. That's right.
Yeah, and I think that's really important for them to understand, that it could take 50 knocks. I call it kissing 100. A lot of frogs. You've got to kiss a lot of frogs to get ahead, and you've got to be a bit hard-headed about it. We've got a few questions coming in, so I'm going to throw them at you just so I don't lose them. I can even answer this one. That's exciting. Nikita. But I'll leave it to the expert.
I'll go and have a lunch, my dinner.
And I actually love this question, because it's one of those things, again, that we were talking about just now with words. So the question is, I know that regulations around doctors are pretty strict. Is there generally a good appetite for SA qualified doctors, especially in emergency? So what she means there is SA being South Africa, not South Australia.
We don't talk about South Australia.
So definitely, I mean, doctors and vets, people in medical care, those are the only people I'm moving at the moment to Australia. So definitely there's an appetite for it. And that's on the priority skills list. So definitely an appetite.
Definitely. It's if you don't find a job within the first month, but again, you've got to go and knock those. You still got to do it. No one's going to just turn up on your door. But you're still going to have to go and do some sort of course to translate your experience across to Australia, and remembering Australia is like the forefront in medical, so it can take a bit of time for you to do that. But if you are in that medical field, you're a doctor, vet, it is in massive short supply. I had 3 clients over the last year who were looking for vets, and I basically turned the work away because I can't find. There's no one. There's nobody here.
No. So, I've been moving vets at the moment as well, and doctors. It's pretty much all I'm moving at the moment, and helping them. All right. Your friend Cassie King, occupational therapist and project program manager in R&D, bioscience, neuroscience, academia. There's lots of big words in that for me.
There is, yeah, and lots of them as well.
Okay, occupational therapist.
Probably not so much right now. Not right now. I think last year has taught a lot of people, a lot of business owners as well, that their staff need more care. And so if you have a skill set that is going to come across and help employees, is going to really help businesses. I think that it's not a big thing over here. I don't see a lot of it. And so it's really an educational piece. You're going to have to educate the businesses of what you do and why you do it and why is it a benefit to them.
Yes.
So yeah.
And I think what I've noticed with the occupational therapist is also specific skills. So I know I moved a lady the other day who was just about hand movements and things like that. So I guess it depends what you're doing. And again, go directly to those companies, see how they're recruiting and approach them directly. The other was project program manager in R&D.
Oh, what do you mean by R&D? Just to make sure I'm talking about the right thing.
I think it's R&D, I think, is that retail distribution? I'm not sure though either. Cassie, maybe you can jump on and tell us what you're thinking there. R&D, I've heard it, but I'm a bit blank at the moment as to what it might be. But yeah, then she's got bioscience, neuroscience, and academia in brackets, so I'm not sure. We'll wait for Cassie to come back to us. Yeah,
bioscience and things like that are always going to be in shortage, especially if you're good at what you do. And I would imagine it's probably on the skills shortage list as well.
Research and development.
Research and development.
Retail distribution. There we go.
That's why I didn't say anything, because I was like, what could have been anything. I
told you you're the expert, not me.
Yeah. It's going to be a really small market for you, but the good thing about that is if you're good, you can earn a lot of good money because won't be a lot of you in the country. It's going to take a lot of door knocking for you, but you can do all of this from the comfort of your own home on LinkedIn. And the good thing about doing LinkedIn is that it's going to make you feel more productive rather than just applying for a job on Seek and waiting for the response. You're taking the action in your hands and basically just cold calling people to say, hey, this is what I do. The more people you speak to, the more people that are going to know you. You shake more people's hands, then people are going to know more about you.
Yes. And just have legitimate conversations with people. Don't look like a tire kicker who's going to waste their time. And I think that also brings me on to something I just wanted to chat to the audience a little bit about. Something that I'll be bringing to Australia next year is going to be a peer-to-peer networking and job solutions platform. So for the first few months as we're running the pilot programs, you'd be able to come on there and actually we'll help you with your peer-to-peer networking. We'll actually match you with people in your industry. So do please stay in touch with me. Probably send me an email is the best at the moment, and I can keep you updated with the progress. But that'll be in Australia from early 2022. And yeah, it's going to be free to start off with as we go through the cracks. I'm really looking forward to that, Bobby, because I think that's really going to help people to build their confidence. And actually, it'll send them an email and say, you've been matched with Robin for next week. Can you make this call? And it'll just help open the doors and talk to people and find out what's a myth and what's actually real in the world. So I'm looking forward to bringing that to Australia. I think it's going to be great.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Okay, I've studied a BSc property development, initially worked as a quantity surveyor, then moved into procurement, contract management, supply chain. I'm looking for employment in Australia. Any advice?
Anything to do with property in most of Australia is going to be, you're going to be fine. Obviously, right now with lockdowns, with businesses not building, etc. But once we start to come out of this, there's so many buildings going up around Melbourne. The government are putting so much money into infrastructure, and that's what we're going to see as well. The government are going to want to try and put jobs back on the table for people. So we're going to see, we already see it in the US, they're going to start building their own infrastructure. So if you can be around that side of things, I think you're going to have more chance of being really successful. And there's just so much opportunity within that area of where you can go from that as well.
Yes.
It's just so easy to start a building business because it's in such short supply over here. So yes, definitely down the building route if I were you.
Yeah. All right, lovely. Well, let's do a last run through some of these questions, and then we'll just come back to a couple of top tips for today and just close off from there. So Taryn Finn, South Africa, recruitment. Hubby is an analyst or Miss Analyst for Standard Bank. Standard Bank is one of the main banks there. Okay, so hubby is an analyst for the Standard Bank. Would you know of opportunities?
Not specifically opportunities like right now, but the banks are always going to be successful, aren't they? So
yes, again, they make sure they are. Yes.
Yeah, it's always going to be around. I would be, again, I'm going to mention it again, the LinkedIn thing. You're going to find hundreds of people who work for NAB. Go just do research on Aussie banks. And the good thing is you've got really relatable experience, so people can understand straight away. Go to LinkedIn, go to search for Commonwealth Bank and find the manager of the analysts of Australia, and just message them and say, hey.
A lot of those big corporates actually have it on their website that you can apply direct. I know that's not something you want to hear as a recruitment company, but the candidates can apply direct and go and kiss those frogs. Try it. That's it.
But make sure you contact somebody within the business. Don't just apply it and leave it to go. Make sure you go and find somebody within that business who is relevant to the position you're applying for, because they all have recruiters. And again, you're trying to bring your resume and CV to the top of that pile. And again, I don't have your best interests at heart. I just got my job to do. So by you contacting someone else within the business, like the hiring manager rather than the recruiter, what will happen is when the recruiter brings their resumes, they're going to go, what about Robin? Robin messaged me and said that he'd applied for the job. I don't see the resume here. Can I just look at it? And then it gets you in front of the hiring manager.
Yes, perfect. Nikki, I own a guest house. I'm looking in the hospitality tourism field. I know that's going to be tough. My partner is in agricultural sales. Agriculture's, that's a good one.
Like anything to do with tourism, hospitality, etc., is really under the pump right now. Depending where you go, if you go to somewhere like Queensland, where it's a lot warmer, there's less chance of lockdowns because of that. But you could easily come up to here, find a guest house, anything like that. But really, you'd want to be starting doing something yourself. If I were you, where I am right now in a place called Rainbow Beach, I'd say every other house is an Airbnb, and they're managed by real estate agents and stuff. So that could be an opportunity that you could come in and go, okay, well, rather than you go to a real estate agent, I'll manage it for you. The sale, I want to pick on the sales side of that of a husband's job. Massive shortage in Australia. Yes, obviously you need to have the industry knowledge of what you're selling, but to give you an idea, we were recruiting for business development managers within Melbourne in the IT sectors. Our client would only go to paying $150,000 of on target earnings, so that's including base pay and commission if you were hit all your targets. We couldn't find anybody. All the competitors were offering between 200 and 250.
Wow.
Massive shortage. So if you're good at sales, you'll do really well. But again,
and 150K for somebody arriving in the country is a good start.
I was on my Chemist Warehouse, I was earning $22 an hour. To put that into perspective, that's probably maybe £10 an hour.
Yeah.
When I was in the UK, I was earning £9 an hour.
Wow. Wow.
So
incredible. Yeah. Everybody has to start somewhere.